It's a little known fact that IU Northwest campus has a beautiful nature preserve right in our own backyard. IMS talked to biology professor and preserve caretaker Dr. Spencer Courtwright about the preservation of the land and all it adds to our community and local ecology.
The Little Calumet River Prairie and Wetlands Preserve is located immediately north of the IU Northwest campus and just south of the Little Calumet River. Well, in the present 11-acre site, we focus on 3 different kinds of habitat for getting native plants back in. Sun-loving prairie plants, which includes a lot of grasses that the bison used to eat, and many different kinds of flowers. Wetland plants that like mucky waters and having tadpoles swimming around in them, to the somewhat shade-loving plants of a woodland. Well, I started out as an animal ecologist. That's where all my work and training was, and I used to believe that if an area had green plants, that it was a good ecological place. But as people started opening my eyes, they said, not all plants are created equal. In many areas, these non-native plants have taken over and are not very useful for the kind of animals you studied. The native plants have had a long, what we call, coevolutionary period with insects and other animals. They've been evolving against each other for thousands or millions of years, and so in this game of coevolution, the insects or the birds have learned how to eat the seeds or adapted to the taste or flavor of the seeds or the leaves or whatnot. And so they're in a game where they're trying to outdo each other, but nobody's winning, so they have a nice intimate relationship. And so the biggest problem as far as stewardship or taking care of a nature preserve like this is the presence of non-native weeds that are typically native to Europe or Asia or both. And although most European or Eurasian plants that have gotten into the Midwest are not a problem, a few are a problem. They are ideally adapted by chance to our climate, and their plant chemistry is such that our animals can't eat them. So they tend to grow very fast and can take over a place. So I'm constantly examining the site, looking it over for these non-native weeds, and then trying to figure out which ones need immediate attention versus less immediate attention. So it's an ongoing kind of mental game that we play, and I try to win against those plants because they're not useful to the animals that like to visit the site. They're just taking up space more or less, and I'd rather have plants that can be eaten or somehow useful to the animals. We do a lot of growing of plants that we think are hard to get growing just by scattering seeds on the site. So we plant those, we grow those, take care of them, and then transplant them into their specific sites and try to beef up the diversity of plants that are in that area. Mother Nature will get them all in there sooner or later, but sometimes we like to speed her up a little bit. I have one class in particular that has a lot of work going on with the nature preserve, and that is Biology L215, called Conservation Biology, usually offered in Summer 1. We learn about conservation and we go out and do conservation, so that's a nice way to get involved. And otherwise, if you're a biology major or anyone who's interested, you could contact the biology department at IU Northwest, and they'll get you in touch with me, and we can learn what your interest is and if you want to work, because each restoration project is unique. They have their own problems and problems that you can't foresee. So it takes time, and it's going to take a lot of diligence, people working together and working over the long haul to get these areas back. But Northwest Indiana was once one of the most ecologically diverse areas in all of North America. Some say it was the most diverse. But of course we destroyed most of that, but we left small parcels untouched. Those form the core of our reserves, and we can go about restoring lots of other areas that can't be used for commercial or residential development. Well, I think it adds an element of beauty to the preserve because it has an extended period where there's a lot of flowers, and it makes it enjoyable compared to a patch of weeds. And so I think it's both beautiful and pride for the community, and an educational place, because the more you walk along it, the more you might see animals. The day I saw a mink go running by, of course, opened my eyes that there are some interesting animals out there.
It's amazing how much dedicated work goes into conserving the fields of wildflowers. If you like information, contact the biology department at 219-980-6724 or email at kwashing@iun.edu.